Fear is the most strong emotion that you will ever feel, so it will override everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're listening to your fear and you think that it's your intuition. But you need to start listening to your intuition at the age of 40 or 50, when you have kids, when you have bills to pay, and the stakes are a lot higher.
Right.
And that's when fear is more likely to come in. You can start even at 40, at 30, 50, 60. So is it going to be a good day for me to go to the beach today? Is it going to rain? Connect with it and then go to the beach and see if the messages that you received were the right ones.
Welcome to another episode of the Starter Girlz Podcast. I am your host, Jennifer Loehding, and wherever you are tuning in today, we are so glad to have you. All right, so I'm going to open up with this today. Some journeys aren't just about what you see, they're about what you feel, what you sense, and the parts of yourself you're only just discovering. And so my guest today has spent decades exploring the mind, spirit, and subconscious to help people transform their lives from the inside out. And so you guys are going to get to hear from her in just a few minutes. But before we do that, I do need to do a quick shout out to our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Walt Mills Productions. Need to add excitement to your YouTube videos or some expert hands for editing? Look no further. Walt Mills is the solution you've been searching for. Walt is not only your go-to guy for spicing up content, he's the force behind a thriving film production company with numerous titles in the pipeline. Always on the lookout for raw talent, Walt is eager to collaborate on film and internet productions. With a background deeply rooted in entertainment and promotion, Walt Mills leverages years of skills to give you the spotlight you deserve. Want to learn more about Walt and his work? Head on over to waltmillsproductions.net and let your content shine. And with that, I do want to make a mention to head on over to startergirlz.com. I tell you this every single week. And why do I say that? For 3 reasons. One, because if you have missed an episode, it is a great place to catch up. It's also a great place to sign up for our community newsletter, and you can stay in the know of all these fabulous episodes that go out. And then also, if you are an aspiring creator, an entrepreneur, or maybe you're in the thick of it right now and you want to know what your number one success block is that may be hindering your success, well, guess what? I've got you covered. You can go over there and take my 2-minute quiz, and it will tell you exactly what block may be affecting your success right now. So as I always say, head on over to startergirlz.com and do your thing. All right, time to welcome the guest on the show today. So joining me today is Maria Micha, a spiritual psychotherapist, clinical mental health counselor, a hypnotherapist, and a shamanic practitioner. Trained in the UK and USA, her work blends psychotherapy, hypnotherapy, and shamanic practices to help people access deeper levels of transformation, combining science, intuition, and spiritual insight. For nearly 3 decades, Maria has guided individuals to profound personal growth, helping them heal from within and uncover their true potential. And she's also an actor. She's got all kinds of cool things going on, artist. So I'm so excited to chat with her. So Maria, welcome to Starter Girlz. So excited to have you here today.
Oh, so nice to be here. Thank you. Thank you
It's
for
gonna
the
be so much fun.
opportunity.
So you want to hear, I'm going to tell you this really funny story. I don't even say it's funny. I just think it's kind of cool, coincidental. And then we're going to get into this. But I had a friend come on here. She's a drummer, and they front this band. It's a Led Zeppelin cover band. They're all ladies. Been doing this for years. They're phenomenal. They're kind of famous in the cover band world, but she does shamanic stuff. And so cool, because I've never met anybody that like does this kind of stuff. And she's like, I think she's ordained and everything. Like, she's just a really neat spiritual lady, but she's also a drummer, which I think is so cool. So I think it is so fun when I meet people like this that are kind of diverse in what they do. And I think there's something about this whole like creativity and being, intuitive and I guess inquisitive and stuff that allows us, you and other people, and I say myself too, because I'm kind of into these things too, but just interested in learning these kinds of things. And so I just think it's a neat thing that what you do, and I'm excited to chat with you about all this.
Thank you.
So
And I think that we're all intuitive, but we're just told to not believe to our inner voice since we're very, very young. And the
Yeah.
moment we go to school, and don't get me wrong, I love education, but we are told that if you cannot prove it, don't believe it. And that's when
Yes.
we lose our ability to connect with our higher self, but also with the world, because there are so many messages available to all of us from
Yeah.
the world.
I agree. And you are so right. I always kind of joke and say we're taught to live by the scientific experiment that we learned in science class and and what was it, middle school maybe or end of grade school, right? And everything that we do, it's like if we can't, if we can't see it happen, then we don't believe it. But even that's interesting too, true, because if you really understand science, I mean, science is about proving things don't work, right? Which is not how we really live. We do the opposite. We say, well, we can't prove that it does, so why try, right? And so I kind of tend to say, well, even if we go by that and you really understand what science means, then if nobody can prove it can't be done, then why are you not being inquisitive about it or trying? So
Exactly.
anyways, okay.
More inquisitive, as you say.
Yes.
We'll need to become more inquisitive and tap into our own intuition, into our own spirit.
Yeah. I agree with you. All right. Well, I want to talk about you. I know we kind of got off on that. I want to talk a little bit about your journey, what led you this. So take us back a little bit. What drew you to psychotherapy and how did your path evolve into include like the hypnotherapy and the shamanic practices? Take us back to the beginning.
Of course. I grew up in Athens, Greece, and I knew around 9 years old that I wanted to become a therapist. And I also knew I wanted to go to the UK and study. Now, I'm 51, so you can imagine that in the early 80s, the TV was not really showing any universities. It was
Right.
mainly Greek and Mediterranean images and series and films. But I don't know how I knew it. Of course, everyone believed that I would forget about it, but I didn't. So I went to the UK and I studied, and I fell in love with psychology, with counseling. I had my first master's there. But then as I started working, I realized that I could access people's cognitive mind, but I felt there was something deeper that was often stopping people from becoming their best selves or releasing pain or identifying where they truly wanted to go. And that's when I started hypnotherapy. And that opened a big door for me, a new world for me and my clients, because now I could work both on the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And I could pull out of there everything that was stopping them. And it's usually fears, but also we don't understand what we truly desire because it is locked in our subconscious mind sometimes. And we're told to be good girls and good boys, right? So how can I see my true desire that I want to be a drummer and a shamanic practitioner like your friend, for example? And then I got married, I had my son. I went back to Greece for a few years. I didn't like it there and I left for Singapore. I stayed in Singapore for 13 years. I loved it. And Singapore is a very spiritual place. Most people are Buddhist and they understand the world differently. They're more connected with their body, with their mind, and they believe in the spiritual world. They believe in the power of their ancestors. They have all the ceremonies where they're connecting with their ancestors. And again, that's when I became a shamanic practitioner. And I studied with an institute in Australia that was teaching people in Bali. And here we are. And then I left for Los Angeles, and I've been here for 3 years. I'm also a psychedelic assistant therapist. So I bring people through plant medicine to release what is holding them back. Sometimes ancestral patterns are holding us back, and remove fears and understand, see a clear vision of where they truly want to go and need to go.
It's so awesome. Yeah. I love it. I think it's great. And and it's funny because you and I are not too far in age. And
Mhm.
so when you're telling me, I think it's so interesting how I was telling somebody just even the other day, how we come into these fields because I studied accounting in college. And, I was telling somebody on a show yesterday, I said, when I was a child, I remember having because we didn't have all the stuff we have now, but I remember having my boom box and recording myself talking on my boom box. Like we didn't know we didn't know anything about like podcasting. We knew there was radio, right? And we had very limited sources and ideas about how things were going to be. But so I think these journeys are really interesting, how they sort of evolve and they take shape and how they come about. But I also think it's neat that if you start looking kind of at the clues as to who you were as a child, the things you were intrigued about and interested in, how they sort of trickle into your life in layers. You know what I mean? Like they start kind of evolving, but you just don't really know. Very few people just wake up and they're like, this is what I'm going to do from day one. And they know, 20 years from now, this is what I'm going to be doing at this time. So I just think it's awesome, these journeys that evolve.
I think we know by the time we're 7, 8, but
Yeah.
then our environment could stop us or could tell us,
Yeah.
oh, and even if
Sure.
they don't say directly, don't go down that path, we know
Right.
pleases our environment, so we might get diverted. It's usually fear of not being accepted or of not
Right.
succeeding, or if we have a path that not many people have taken, we think that it's impossible. So
Right.
we hypnotize ourselves in a negative way to believe that our vision cannot be manifested. And that's when we get disappointed again and again. Then
Mhm.
jobs that don't fulfill us. And if my job doesn't fulfill me, if there's no passion, how am I going to be good at it?
Right.
And then what happens? Depression, anxiety, anhedonia. People learn to be helpless. And
Yeah.
some point around mid 40s or
Right.
even people just
They had the
lose.
meltdown, right? It's like the meltdown. Yes, yes. And it is interesting that you say that because it's so funny. I remember having a guy on my show. He's a speaker, traveled with Zig Ziglar, and I remember I was telling him that I had studied accounting in school because my mother was an accountant. She'd had a business back, and as a child when I was growing up, she had these offices, and they were sort of like co-op spaces. And she did like accounting and bookkeeping and secretarial service before we had like VAs and what we have now. So I just thought naturally I was going to go into accounting, and then I got into accounting and I'm like, okay, well, I'm good at numbers and math, but then I got to the law part of it and I absolutely hated. And I'm like, you know what, this is not my thing. So anyways, fast forward, I'm doing this podcast episode with this guy that traveled with Zig Ziglar, and I was telling him this, and he is like, you do not need to be sitting behind a desk doing numbers. And I think about that all the time. But like you just said, I do think we know intuitively, we just tune it out. Like we listen to what other people tell us to do, like you said, or think we need to be doing this. Because I tell people the things I'm doing now, I was doing as a child. I was creative as a child. I was making things and oh, I love it. I just rebuilt my website last night. And as tedious it is, tedious as it is, like, I love it. It is so amazing because why do I love it? Because I get to be creative, right? So I think, yes, we do. I think intuitively we do. I just don't know that we always trust our intuition. We have to like come into that, don't you think? And so at some point we start being okay. We're like, oh, something's telling me I should do this. And maybe I'll go do this, But for a long time, I think we kind of squash it and go, like you're saying, all those things.
So we need to
Yeah.
train our intuition. And in the modern world and in the West, we are told to shut it down.
Yeah.
What happens? Why do we not trust our intuition? I want to give your audience some tools. The
Sure.
main reason is fear. So when fear is part of the play, fear is the most strong emotion that you will ever feel. So it will override everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're listening to your fear and you think that this is your intuition. So when you release the fear, and a very good way to do it is through meditation. If you reach a state where you have no fear and you tell yourself, let me just see what I truly want, free of fear, and then I'm going to bring reality and I'm going to bring my conscious mind. I will identify the steps to go there slowly. Then only you can listen to your intuition. But training is necessary and we are going to make mistakes. We need to be aware of that. So when we start understanding our intuition, connecting with it at a very young age, the stakes are low. Even if you make a mistake, you'll learn from it, but nothing big can happen. But when you need to start listening to your intuition at the age of 40 or 50, when you have kids, when you have bills to pay, then the stakes are a lot higher.
Right.
And that's when fear is more likely to come in. Right. You can start even at 40, at 30, 50, 60, but start with smaller things. So ask, is it going to be a good day for me to go to the beach today? Is it going to rain? Connect with it and then go to the beach and see if the messages that you received were the right ones. And then go with things that are a little bit more important. Does my friend want to take advantage of me when he's asking me to get into that business deal? And receive the back and forth. And also understand that as you're going down a path, for example, to go into this business with your friend, you will be having more information. Your intuitive mind will be receiving more information. So the messages could be changing. And that's the beauty of it all.
I love it. I think it's great. So, I want to talk to you a little bit about success because obviously you're doing a lot of different things. I mean, I think they all really overlap. I don't think it's like you're doing pets over here and dentistry over here. Everything I think tends to overlap, but I really would love to know how this all fits in with the acting part of what you're doing, because I think that is it's a creative thing and I like it, and I had a gal on yesterday that I was talking to and I was kind of asking her, like, what is her methodology or her philosophy, like when she takes a role, and she was kind of telling, I really, interestingly enough, because I'm not in that space, but because I do have to do podcasting and I do have to approach every guest that comes on the show very differently. They're never the same. And I have to study them and look at them, and I sort of have to tackle each one differently. I imagine everything's like that. So I asked her yesterday, how does she tackle these projects? And she's like, I get into the character, really study the character before I go into the lines, which I thought, I never thought of that. So I would love to know, even from you, being in this space, what is your philosophy when you take these roles, and how does this really all come together for you with your work?
Well, if a therapist cannot understand feelings and emotions and the state of a persona in a film, then who can? I
Wow.
have experienced my feelings, my loved ones' feelings, but also thousands of people that have worked with. So it is very easy for me to crack a character open. However, I prefer to stay in educational roles, whether I'm a teacher or a mother, because I'm a mother in real life, or a therapist. These are the roles that I go for. And I think that I am at my best because I am, in a way, playing myself, my profession or my personal role as a mother. And therapy has a lot to do with teaching. We psychoeducate people. We explain how the world will work better from a completely different perspective. And once we have knowledge, then we can make changes.
No, I like this. And I had brought up, when I told her yesterday, I was thinking about, like, as she was talking, I brought up Jason Bateman because you and I are the similar age. So you know him as an actor. And I watched him back when he was in the sitcom way back in in the 80s. And I was telling her, I said, he always to me sort of plays this same kind of role, right? Like this serious. I watched all of Ozark, love that show. And I just always, to me, always has this same role. Well, then he goes and he plays this role where he's like the bad guy. And I'm like, you just totally just messed me up, because like I see your character like this. So that kind of prompted the question. So like you just said, where you sort of kind of go into these roles, I would probably be the same way if I had to pick roles. I think I would have certain ones that I would sort of feel naturally drawn to because we would understand them. You know what I mean? Like feel like we understand them. But I also want to back up and say something else, about the work that you do, because I was just telling somebody about this the other day, because I'm in the middle. Maybe you know who Shirzad Shamin is. He is a Stanford professor, and he does the positive intelligence stuff. He talks about like the saboteurs, which I know you know them. I've studied them. They all have various ways of saying kind of the same thing. But I love this because he does these PQ things in there, where he gives you, like, instead of doing, like, I studied transcendental meditation, those are 20-minute long meditations. He gives you these little anywhere from 2 to 12-minute type things that you can do that are sort of like doing that. But in all of this, learning all of these things about, like, I don't know where I was going with all this, but learning all these things about, saboteurs. The funny thing is one of my saboteurs, I can tell you, like, my top 3 are hyper rational, the stickler, and control. Okay. Which means I filter everything through a hyper rational lens. And doing everything you do, those are all tied back to coping strategies and things we had to learn as children, like there's super strengths that turn into can become saboteurs at the same time for us. Right. But it's so interesting, going through all of these things with these saboteurs and learning all of these things, because one of the things in there I learned is that for me, I have this like desire to understand how things work, people, and why people do what they do, the decisions that they make. And in my hyper rational mode, Maria, drives me crazy. It just absolutely drives me crazy because I try to understand people, and my rational mind goes, what they're doing absolutely makes not a stitch of sense. They're saying this, but it totally defies everything they're saying over here. There's no logic in it. And so I think that fascination, can tie into what, like learning, like in the psychology and sociology and all of those things, really just understanding people. And so people always tell me, like, I have a pretty good sense of reading the room and understanding. I can feel people's emotions, and I can tell when people are uncomfortable, and I can listen to people and draw clues by listening to conversation. And I can start figuring out why people are kind of doing what they're doing, why they're responding the way they're responding. Drives my husband crazy, just so you know.
But it's nice because you have so much more information than most of us have.
Yeah.
Most likely you can have this information because you allow your intuitive mind to be open and receive those messages.
Yeah.
When your saboteurs are not in
Yeah.
action guessing.
Yeah. No, and I know you can too. That's why I'm saying I'm having this conversation with you, because I think it's a gift in a lot of ways, because it allows me to feel where people are and know when I need to, lean in, retract, and how to behave, and why people are kind of, I say I'm married to an engineer. So I've learned over the years to put pieces together, be an investigator. So, I think it's a gift when you're able to be intuitively inclined. And that's why I love what you're doing, because I think it gives you the opportunity to really understand people and connect and kind of see where they're coming from, and maybe even lean into giving empathy, having that ability to put yourself in their shoes.
When you can see why people say one thing and they do another, and
Yeah.
it's usually because we have many different personas and many different feelings in us. And when we are lacking awareness of which one is in the driver's seat, then we're listening to too many voices. And I might promise to come and help you with your move, and I really want to do it. But then the reality in me goes, but you will be in pain. And this is something that your body at this point cannot take. So I am saying yes, but then the reality sinks in, and I either have to come back and in a very honest way say, I'm really sorry, Jennifer. I know I said that I can do it, but my body cannot support this at the moment, but I can help in this other way.
Yeah.
Or sometimes people, they don't want to admit the truth. They don't want to come clear. So you see them switching in another dimension, in another personality that sometimes is striking, and it takes us by surprise.
Yeah.
I would say honesty is so important, and doing things out of love for ourselves and out of love for the person.
Yeah.
And means clarity and transparency, and being able to say, I made a mistake, being able to say, I was harsh, but this is how I really feel. And the reason I was harsh is because I got scared.
Yeah.
We need to come back a little bit to the basics. People are a little bit lost. There's so much information nowadays, and I love social media. I am in social media, but we get all these downloads and information. We don't know what applies to us, what is good for us, or what is really not applicable for anyone. Because there are a lot of people there who are saying they're experts, but they really are not.
Oh, I agree. That's how I feel about a lot of the life coaches. I have such a mixed feeling about it. I'm actually a certified life coach, but I get so conflicted with that, because so many people, especially I feel like during COVID, just went out and became these immediate experts. And I don't ever I don't want to talk bad about people, but I think so many people do. You're right. They come out as experts in things and don't really investigate, and know enough to be maybe sharing that information. I even say, a lot of the work that I do, everything that I've done, every even modality that I've studied, I've had to use because I needed it for myself. It was never something I went and learned it so I could teach it. It was that I learned it to heal parts of myself. And then in the journey and process of that, I realized, hey, this stuff was beneficial to me. It helped me through a really difficult time, or it helped me get through this piece. Maybe somebody else wants to hear this, and that's why we do this show. That's really why we do this show. That's why I tell people all the work that's in this, everything that comes through in this is really is my journey through the guests that come in here. And it's like somebody asked me the other day, it was like, what are you doing with this show? And I'm like, look, we're just trying to show people how to thrive in life. And we do it through the people that come on the show. They talk about their examples and embodying of how they're thriving in their spaces, and so that's what it is. But that leads me to my next question I want to ask you is going back to that success question. How do you define success for you? And you can answer this in either way. If you want to take it into, professionally, I say they kind of cross. I have a feeling you're going to say that too, but you can go either way if you want to tie those in professionally or personally or tie them in together. How would you define that?
For me, success comes from three different areas. One is personal success. Do I feel happy within my skin with who I am, the way I feel, the way I present myself in the world, the way I behave, and the way I'm there for other people? Am I there to support others in their life journey? Then it is family. How about my family bonds? How do I present myself with my family members, the biological family members, but also the ones that I have brought into my life? We can have stronger bonds with a friend than we can have with a family member because the friend we have chosen, the
Right.
family member we have been given. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. And then the last one is our professional success. And for me, professional success is being passionate every day about the people that I work with. And I'm allowed to touch their lives. It is such a privilege to have someone open up their soul, their mind, their spirit, and to allow me to have a preview to that. And then I come in and I synthesize everything they tell me. I use many different modalities. I use science, I use hypnotherapy, I use intuitive wisdom, and I help them understand why life is not working out for them, what they need to remove, which patterns they need to break free from. And sometimes it's our family patterns. We're living according to what our parents told us to be,
Right.
or how we see them show up in the world. But sometimes they're ancestral patterns. I have seen people being pulled back by ancestral patterns of 5 generations behind, 1800s, 1700s, and they do transcend to the present moment because we hear those stories. And those stories come from our great grandparents that we never met or their parents. And now in 2026, I am stopped by an ancestral pattern that my ancestors had. I want to give an example. My great grandfather was a doctor and a pharmacist, and I'm talking about late 1800s and early 1900s. He died sometime in 1942, but he lost 80% of his wealth in the stock market. To this day, I am petrified of having any investment in the stock market. It hasn't happened to me. It hasn't happened in my lifetime, but I'm having this big blockage. But thank God my son, he's breaking that pattern because he's in the finance and business world. So this is what he does all day, and he feels amazing about that. And I'm trying to learn from him to remove it, because any fear that is holding us back is not just holding us about investments, it is holding us back generally.
Yeah. No, I agree. I had a lady come on here a while back that was in she worked with women that were going through transition, like divorce. She's in the financial space. And that was one of the things she brought up was this ancestral, um, these blocks that kind of carry through, and you said something a few minutes ago about how they show up at, kind of how they kind of come in other places. And I've told this story many, many times about how when I got diagnosed in 2012 with this rare nerve condition, I had no idea. I don't even know how to say this. I had no idea that that one thing that crippled me for 4 years was going to become the catalyst for everything I do today. Because that when I started going through that process, of course, like I tell everybody the story, for the first 4 years, I played victim because I spent my entire time in and out of the doctors trying to get cured. And at some point I realized that was not going to be the answer. And so I went on this holistic crusade to heal myself. But during that process, I also realized that it wasn't just about what I was putting in my body, my sleep. There was more. There was trauma. There were other pieces of me that were contributing to this. And when I started unpacking this, I'm going to fast forward this for you. So think this started in 2012 to here we are. Let me pull you up to 2019. In 2019, I was in debt. And I turned all my credit cards over to a debt resolution company. This is right before COVID hit. Turned all my credit cards over to a debt resolution company. Never done this in my life. And my husband was not in debt at the time. I was in debt. And all of that money that I had, it wasn't that I was doing anything like wrong, like gambling or doing anything like that. I just was very frivolous in my spending. I was doing paying for a lot of treatments and things like that, and just wasn't really keeping calculating on this. But I was really risk adverse in my business. So kind of opposite the way I was handling my money. However, and the reason I'm telling you this is because in the process to heal myself physically, I started working on healing the inner part of Jennifer, the trauma, all of the things that were tied in that. And what ended up happening is I was able to eventually put that nerve condition into remission, got off all my medications. I got diagnosed with another disorder and I managed to navigate that one. But I also got all that debt cleared up, got all that finished, paid off, taken care of. And I realized in the process of that when I started working on healing the parts of me that were tied to all of these things, all of these peripheral things started clearing up, and the debt being one of those things. And so, yes, to your point that when we have all these, like, whatever they are, these generational curses or whatever these things that we're clinging to that are negative, they manifest very differently in these different domains of our lives, right? It could be the same blockage, the same thing, but they just show up. And for me, I learned that a lot of the things that I deal with, whether it be, the stress, which is tied to something, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why do I keep doing the same thing, right? Why do I make that choice? Whatever those things are, for me, they manifest in my health. And so I have to be very mindful and aware of what are those things that I'm doing? Are they tied to a block, to a behavior, a pattern, whatever? Because if I don't take that under control, then it will show up and it will probably manifest in some kind of ailment in my body, which will probably land me in an ER. I mean, so yes, you have to be very mindful of this stuff and aware of what's going on in here.
Because whatever's happening in here is being reflected in our body. Our mind and our spirit and our brain are connected to our body. So you somatize the thoughts and the feelings. Soma is the body in Greek, but it's an English word. So you bring your feelings and your emotions into your body, and then your body is suffering and it is expressing the difficult feelings or the limiting thoughts that you're having, and hence you end up in the ER. But I want to say something about this. That means you're a very strong thinker. That means that you can manifest very easily. You know how to manifest. In the past, you were manifesting the challenges and you're getting sick, but you can use the same medium to manifest what you truly want. Because when you think very strongly and you can somatize it, you can express it in real life, in 3D reality. Yeah. So people who have been somatizing pain and they're getting sick, they can use the same pathway to somatize and express their strong, good, positive, expansive thoughts.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. No, and I agree. We used to say that. I mean, I was in Mary Kay for 22 years, and we'd always say, what you think about, you bring about. And so you tell people that, and the people that get it. The people that don't, obviously. But I've always said that, because I think whatever you focus on, even if you're not aware, you will subconsciously do behaviors that support it, because we like confirmation bias. So if you're thinking you're sick, you're probably going to do behaviors that kind of sort of lead you down that path, right? And the same goes, and that's why I think that's why I was telling you when I was going through that illness, I came to a point where I realized that there was more to the eating, more to just the sleeping. There was the way I was thinking, how I was showing up and coming to that disease. Like, how was I coming to that? Was I coming to that as the person who is afflicted with something and it owns me, or the person that was like, okay, I've got this, and what? And, like, and that's how I had to make that shift. Was it went from that space of victim to, how do I get myself out of this? Because I can't continue this. I can't do this. And so thank you for sharing that, because I agree. And I think sometimes people need to hear that. And that's why it's so good when we bring different people on to talk about these things, because you may say the same thing, but you have a different way of putting that out there into the world. And somebody hears that and goes, that's what I needed to hear,
I also want to give something else for your viewers. I'm going to use you as an example again.
Yeah.
There was a challenge in your life. You weren't well, you were diagnosed with this rare nerve condition. And of course, you went into victimhood. This is what most of us do, especially with the classic medical model that tells us you don't have any power. We, the doctors, have all the power. And I'm not challenging the power that do have power, but they're forgetting that we have power as well, because we're in control of our body. So you get into that medical model that says, I can cure you or I cannot cure you. We believe them because we have been trained from the time we're tiny kids to pay respect to the doctors and follow their suggestions. So now you're losing your power. What do you have left? Victimhood. Because at least that gives you some control. But the moment you decide to get out of there and you took control of your life and you said, no, I believe there is more. That sentence, that conviction, I believe there is more, open to new pathways for you. Pathways in your life, but also neural pathways in your brain. And once we start with a new thought, with a new belief, with a new conviction, then our brain can open up. Because whatever you feed your brain, this is what you're going to get. And how does it work neurologically? I have a thought, I'm a victim. There is nothing I can do about my condition. So my brain will bring together neurons that will form a constellation, they will form a circuit, and they will be firing together, and they will be saying there's no solution. So from that, I'm going to create another neural pathway, another neural circuit that says, yeah, there is no solution. What are we going to do? Get depressed, get sad.
Right.
And we're going downwards. But then I can interrupt this, and you interrupted it. And I can say, no, there is more. I'll take control. I'll find solution. I know there's a solution out there, and I'm going to go out and find it. So now your brain is bringing different neurons together, different brain cells together, and they're creating a different circuit that says, there is a solution. I don't know how to go there, but I will find it. So you start researching, you start getting information. And from that constellation, the new, the bright, the positive one, your brain creates more constellations like that. And finally, you got where you had to go. You became certified in supplements. You became a life coach. You understood your nervous system. You understood your physiology. And now you're helping others. And I want to say one more thing to people. When there is a challenge in our lives, our natural propensity is to go, oh my God, why is this happening to me? To get angry, to feel like a victim.
Right.
But I want to offer another solution. Instead of saying, why is this happening to me? Allow yourself to have one day of that and then switch to, this is happening because I need to change and grow. And humans, we don't grow when everything is fine.
Right.
We don't grow when we're in smooth sailing.
Yep.
We grow when the waves are very, very high.
Right.
And we think we're going to be eaten up by that. And when we have more potential, life comes and says, I will nudge you. And if you don't understand the nudge to grow, then I'm going to shake you up. I'm going to shake up your whole world. So how about you switch your perspective to, I am being given the opportunity to be more, to feel more, to be more expansive instead of feeling like a victim. And from that different energy, you will see so many solutions. You're going to meet people who can help you. You're going to read information that you need, that you never could see possible from the mindset of being a victim, and nothing is available to me.
So good. Well, and I'm what I'm hearing you say is bring the curiosity up to the front, where you're open, and then the pieces of information arrive because you're open to this coming into your space. And I agree with you, because I do believe that, when you're going to seek out what you're looking for. So if you're looking for to be a victim, you will seek out proof that you're the victim. And if you're looking for the solution, you will seek out the solution. And so thank you for sharing all of that. That is awesome. I love what you're doing. And I think it's good work. And I do think we all sort of arrive here because we're meant to be in these spaces, and I'm sure you feel that your calling is to help people. I feel that, I don't know that I chose that. I always say that I feel like things land in my space because I have the voice and I need to speak into them and help other people know that, hey, we all go through crazy things, and it's what you do with the crazy that comes your way. Like you said, it's what you do with it. It's, do you sit in it and assume that you're the victim, or do you say, is there more? And I think that is there more should really be extended in all areas. And I'm talking everything from dialogue, conversation, to getting to understand people, to solving your own medical things. Is there more? Yeah, it goes back to how we opened this up in the very beginning about the science thing, right? Like from the very beginning, about until someone says, you're done, you're finished, you should be curious all the time. That's how I feel about everything.
Don't accept the challenge, the blockage at the end of the road. And the people who are telling us there is nothing else we can do, they're not lying to us. They're not being mean to us. This is how far their own consciousness and their own knowledge can take them. It's up to us to become the student, to become the warrior, to become the king and the queen of our lives and keep going forward. But we need to have faith, and we need to believe, even in the absence of all evidence, that something good can happen. This is the challenging part for most humans. How do I believe that I can succeed, that I can survive this, that I can get better, that I can have a better job and a better partner in my life if I don't see it? But that's the conviction. That's where we need to start. I know there's more. And I know I will get there, even if I have no clue which way to go. Because the moment you open up your mind, the right people will show up. And all those different paths that you can follow will show up. Not every path is going to lead you where you need to go, but even a wrong path, if you don't lose your perseverance and your faith, will guide you to the next one, because you've moved a few blocks down the road. And from where you were before, you couldn't see what you can see from the wrong path when you reach the end point. So allow life to guide you. Have your intuition with you. Be aware of where you want to go, but never accept no as the end of the road. There is always more for you, and you are the creator of your life. You are the warrior in your life, and you're the queen and king in your life. Feel that, live it, and let it guide you.
Let it guide you. Good stuff. Okay, a couple fun questions I want to ask you about you. We're going to round it out with this. I would love to know what you're most excited about right now in your work. What's driving you right now?
I want to help people. And I'm creating an online 3-day course, 2 hours each day, where I'm going to offer for free for people. You will see it soon on my social media, and everyone can sign up. It's going to be at a time where even Europe can dial in, but different parts of the US and even Asia. I want to teach people how to not feel stopped by challenges, health challenges, financial challenges, sometimes emotional challenges. And I want to give them a roadmap to create the life that they deserve and they want, and the life where they can thrive. And when we thrive, everyone around us is feeling all those good juices that we are in. So tune in for that.
That's awesome. I know I always share that, I always say, for why, when people ask me why I do what I do, I say, for maybe selfish reasons, because I know when you're healthy and happy, the world's a better place and my life is better. We're all better. If you're better, I'm better. The person next to you is better. We're all better, So thank you for sharing that. I love it. So a couple fun questions I want to ask you really quick. I think these a little more personal about you. Outside of the work that you do, I can already tell that you're extremely passionate about what you do. So there's no denying that on any level. And I have a feeling that it probably is a big part of what you do all the time. But I'd love to know, outside of your work, what are maybe some hobbies or practices that you really enjoy that help recharge you?
I get recharged with people. So I love hanging out with people, with my friends, having funny conversations, intense conversations, helping them understand something about themselves that they don't. I also love Pilates and swimming. I love being on the beach. That recharges me like
Yeah.
nothing else. I've also been a fish in a previous life for sure. And I love traveling as well. So I
That's fun.
travel, I meet different people, different cultures. I generally get regenerated by people. People's energy is what makes me spark.
It's awesome. So if you could try any skill or do anything and there were no limits, like what would you try? What would you do?
Any skill,
Or maybe
I think I
it's a
would
new
want,
hobby or something.
it's a new hobby. I think I would want to learn how to fly.
Fly. That'd be fun. I met a girl yesterday that does aerial stuff, like cool stuff. I'm like, just so fun that people do these cool things, like different, like I'm like on the ground kind of person. Like I'm a risk person, but like there's certain things like my husband's like, we're going on a cruise today. He was look at this submarine thing. And then he's like, he goes from zip lining to submarine. I'm like, dude, can we ride bikes or hike or maybe go tubing or boating? Anything that just kind of, I'm okay with all that. It's all activity, but can we just stay on the ground,
Need the connection with the earth. But maybe that's what you need,
Maybe
Jennifer.
that is what I
Challenge yourself. Break
exactly.
that fear. It will open even more pathways for you.
Well, and you know what's so funny? When I was a kid, I would have been like all over that stuff. I mean, I loved roller coasters and all of that. And somewhere along the line, as I became an adult, I'm like heights and underneath. Okay, like I just want to be on the ground, which is really dumb, anyways, because you get into the whole, like the car plane thing. And statistically, you're safer in the plane than you are in the car, right? But I think it goes back to when we talk about like comfortable. It's just what you do all the time and what you don't do, right? It's just out of your comfortable range. So flying, I think, would be a good one. I think that'd be a fun one. All right. And then what's one maybe fun fact about you that maybe that is not something people might know about you or expect to know about you?
So, as a therapist, I need to be creative thought-wise. I need to think on my feet and create examples and create paths for people to go on and resolve their issues. But I'm also artistically creative. So I paint, but I also create my own clothes. There are times that I just design from scratch. I have fabric, I love silk, and I can create a whole evening gown. And I often do that.
Oh
It's
my
meant for
goodness. Wow. Well, good
yes.
for you. I think a lot of times people that are kind of creative, they have a lot of different, talents, things that they could do. And sometimes I think it's just exploring, see, because we talk about that intuition. Like when you're curious, you'll explore different things. And I think so many people don't really explore their creative side. They sort of miss that because they just won't take that time to do it or they're scared to do it. So I think that is cool. My daughter came in the other day, my middle, and she's like, I want to start a business and sew some clothes. She loves to thrift. And I'm like, you should do it. You should do it. Yeah, you should go for it. So
What you do, there is only one outcome. You will succeed.
agree. So question, if our audience wants to get in touch with you, maybe somebody wants to learn a little bit more about your work, they want to follow you, who knows, where would you like us to send them?
So on social media, you can find me at official Maria Micha.
Okay.
And Micha is spelled Micha. But you can also send me a message through my website. And this is www.mariamicha.com.
Okay.
And I will be more than happy to guide you on your journey.
All right. Well, we'll make sure, Maria, when this goes out, when we get in the show notes, we'll make sure we get the links in there so they know how to find you. And hopefully somebody will keep up with you and see all the great things that you're doing and maybe follow also your acting stuff and your artwork, all the cool things that you've got going on. So I just want to say thank you so much for your time today. And it's been great chatting with you and wish you continued success. And thank you for making the world a better place.
Oh, thank you, Jennifer. It has been such a pleasure to meet you and to get the opportunity to know a bit of your story.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for weighing in on that. So it's been fun. And of course, we want to say to the audience, we appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for tuning in today. If you found this episode both informative and inspiring, we hope you did. You know what to do. All the things like share, comment, and subscribe so we can continue sharing all this fabulous content. And as I always say, in order to live the extraordinary, you must start, and every start begins with a decision. You guys take care, be safe, be kind to one another, and we will see you next time.